Greetings everyone, Ray Landis here with another guitar adventure, and today I want to talk to you about this amazing Squier Rehab guitar. And there's a lot to talk about, but this thing, I'm going to say up front, has turned out to be an amazing guitar, one of the best in my collection. I ordered this body from a guy on eBay, sells a lot of great guitar bodies, and in the advertisement, it looked perfect, and he was really nice, easy to work with, and the shipping didn't turn out the way that we had hoped, and it came in with a huge gash on one side. So I contacted the seller and I talked with him about some options, and we were able to turn it in for insurance, and I ended up getting another guitar body in replacement for this, but in the process he got the insurance, he was reimbursed, and I got another guitar body, and I had a decision to make. Did I want to just toss this body and not use it, or did I want to try to do something and rehab this guitar into something that could be a great instrument? I've had this situation come up several times before, where I've had some sort of a serious blemish that looks as if it's going to be a total loss and nothing can be done. But I've learned that if you're willing to be creative and think it through, you can come up with some ideas to make the blemish kind of part of what is going to end up as the final product. I decided that I was going to try to rehab this, and you have to make that decision whether you're going to put the time into it and what you're going to do with it. Are you going to toss it? Are you going to return it? Or are you going to try to make something great out of it? And I decided, well, there's not really anything to lose. Let's try to make something great out of it. So I had to figure out what in the world I was going to do with this huge gash that was on this back end of the guitar, and be able to make that into something that looked respectable. I know that these bodies don't necessarily relic very well unless you take a heat gun to them and remove all of the finish and kind of start over. So with a poly finish like this, that was kind of out of the question. So what could I do to fix this body to make it into something that would look really good? So I decided I was going to put this racing stripe on there, and I didn't want to put any racing stripe on there. I wanted to put something on that was durable, that really looked good, and that was easy to work with. So I went down to this place that we have nearby that sells striping for ambulances and police cars. And when they have those types of stripes, they've got to be able to withstand a lot of various environmental things. So they had this blue striping, which is kind of, if you look at it close, it kind of has an iridescent look to it. I don't know if you can pick that up on the camera or not, but it really looks sharp on this black body, and it turned out really smooth, and you can see that it's almost looked like it was meant to be that way. All right, so problem solved. I was able to get that worked out. So now I'm back to where I was. I've got this really great, solid Squier body that has all the great potential that a lot of Squier bodies have. Now, what am I going to do for a neck? Because this body did not come with a neck. I ordered this really nice hard rock roasted maple neck from a guy online. I hadn't worked with the roasted maple neck a whole lot before, and I tried to get the peg holes enlarged for the tuners that I wanted to use, and I ended up with a cracked headstock, and I showed that in one of my other videos. I was able to get that fixed when I thought that couldn't be fixed. Somebody commented in the video and said, yeah, it's fixable. And I was like, how could that be fixable? It looked like it was a total disaster. But if you look very closely, you can still see where it's slightly scarred, but at the same time, it's solid. And this neck came from one of the places where I like to get guitar necks, came from Howl Guitar. This is a hard rock roasted maple neck with, it's got 21 frets, It's got a 9.5-inch radius. It's got a bone nut. It's got the truss rod adjustment, not here at the headstock, because you can see that's just kind of like a mark to make it look normal. I guess they call that normal. But the truss rod adjustment is here at the heel. And once you get these pretty much where they're supposed to be, you don't have to really worry about getting to that truss rod adjustment because these necks are very, very stable. But the thing is, with these two components, this body and this neck is super stable and super nice together. This is actually, even being a rehab guitar, one of the nicest Stratocasters that I have in my collection. It just has a really great feel to it. I've got, I believe, 10s on here, 10 through 46. And this just, it worked out so well. I'm going to show you the back. The back plate I kept generic. I did not put the Squier back plate back on it. And this particular one had a matching pearloid back cover, trem cover, that matched the front pick guard. And I don't know if you can see into these little holes or not, but I ended up putting a nice brass block in there. Now, the brass block on this one doesn't matter as much as it would on some others, because I decided, even though I was going to put the brass block in there, that I was going to deck it. This guitar has been completely rewired, and this thing plays like a dream. Another Squier that brought a foundation for an awesome Stratocaster guitar. You can tell this is a little bit of an older Squier. A lot of Squiers from this era, you can tell by looking at the bridge, the 6-screw mounting of the tremolo bridge, and this particular one has a full thickness body. A lot of the Squiers that were reminiscent of this era came in a thinner body style, so you didn't have the full Stratocaster thickness. Now, if you tore this down and took all the finish off, you might find out that it's 3, 4, 5, maybe even as many as 7 different pieces all glued together. But underneath of the poly, you don't even need to worry about that, because the body is it's solid. It's got the full thickness, and it's just a good all-around guitar. So a couple people have asked, when is it best to try to fix it? When is it best to try to ditch it? When is it best to send it back? And I don't know if I have an answer for that, but I appreciate that when I put the information about the broken headstock and about the components I was working with, people would pipe in on my channel and say, hey, you can do this, or you can do that, or this is possible. When I was pretty much under the impression, when certain things happened, you were done with it. So this guitar to me was kind of like a throwaway. It was kind of like one, I was just gonna, put it somewhere. I actually was gonna give it to my grandson. He doesn't know how to play yet, but he wants to play. And I was just gonna kind of give it to him, and I figured he could, if he wanted to, he could beat it up. And what would be lost? It's already kind of a loss. The neck was replaced, the body was replaced. There was no cost value in it or anything, and it just, I figured, could be a throwaway, a toss around. This thing turned out so good, and I think that a lot of people, when you're doing this kind of a project and you're trying out some different things, you're not sure how it's going to go. You might feel like you've messed something up, or it's just beyond being what you had hoped it to be. This guitar is a perfect example of what actually can happen if you just stick with it and work through some of the things that you think are beyond recall. This now is a keeper. Pickups, they are from AliExpress. They're Alnico 5 staggered pole pieces. I'm not going to open up the guitar and show you the insides on this one, but I can tell you that the pickups themselves have cloth wiring, really nice, and they're well done. Sold by AliExpress in their Wah music store, and that's a WAA H. So it's 3 A's, W with 3 A's and an H. And I believe they manufacture them, and they are really nice pickups. Of course, the wiring and everything, I redid the wiring with the full-size pots. I redid the switch with a full-size switch, and I decked the original Squier tremolo, and everything on this guitar, it's got the brass block, everything on this guitar is primo. All right, so when I was first working on the neck, I had everything laid out on my desk, and I was working through the little things that you have to work through to get the neck prepared to put on the body, and I was using my drill, and I was drilling backwards, thinking that I was going to be able to get those tuners in, and all of a sudden there was this pop, and the headstock came apart, and I was like, ah, ah, ah. The headstock came apart. I mean, it came apart, and I think that at that point I thought we were done. Ah, ah, ah. I let out this shriek, and of course my wife's in the other room. She's listening, to the tools and to my drill going, and she goes, "What happened?" I said, "Oh, nothing." It was something. So I thought, wow, this is a great opportunity to show something that went wrong. And I thought that was going to be the whole focus of what I was going to show in my video. But actually, I'm kind of flabbergasted that I'm showing you this guitar today as one of the nicest instruments in my collection. This is truly an instrument that anybody would want to play. It just has that feel. And I learned that even when you think it's over, it's not over till the fat lady sings. So what I've spoken here today, I hope that it's encouraged you to want to build them, fix them, play them, or mod them. When you have something in your hands and you're not sure what it is, you have the opportunity to make it into something really great. And I hope that you would step out and do something different and find out how great it actually can be. All right, so I'm going to ask that if you've enjoyed this video to go ahead and hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and I will see you next time for the next guitar adventure.